Stand by. Roll down, please. Turn over.
65, take 2.
Action.
The classic legend of the Headless Horseman meets the dark vision of director Tim Burton in Sleepy Hollow.
It's a fantastic story, somewhat macabre, certainly very unusual.
I've always wanted to do a fairy tale, and this is like one of our few American fairy tales.
The Western Woods is a haunted place where brave men will not venture.
It's a horror film, it's a love story, it's a funny comedy. A lot of times you don't know whether to laugh or whether you're scared to death.
It's the type of movie that I used to like to watch all the time and actually made me want to make movies.
For those people who may know the story of Sleepy Hollow, you don't. This is scary.
And now, go behind the scenes to explore the filmmaking secrets of Sleepy Hollow. Meet the cast, live the legend, witness the stunts, and experience the state-of-the-art special effects.
Murder! The Horseman's killed again!
Director Tim Burton, who brought his unique imagination to such films as Beetlejuice, Batman, and Edward Scissorhands, travels back in time to tell the haunting legend of Sleepy Hollow.
3 persons have been murdered there, with the head lopped off.
It's one of the first American horror stories or folk tales, fairy tales. And like any good fairy tale, it's sort of part of your subconscious.
I thought it was sort of creepy. I always remember hearing it, even from like nursery school, having it read to me.
It's also one of those famous Halloween stories, so yeah, we grew up with it.
All right, let's try it.
It had a good, healthy mix of excitement and slightly scary but funny all at the same time, and I think that that's something that is always interesting, trying to mix all of those things together. So it's something that's a fun thing to try to do.
And action.
At the center of the story is Ichabod Crane, a constable from New York City who is sent on a special mission.
First meet Ichabod, his superiors send him to Sleepy Hollow to investigate these murders.
A lot of people are dying, and they're dying in a very particular way. They're having their heads cut off rather cleanly.
Their heads were not found severed. Their heads were not found at all.
The heads are gone. Taken by the Headless Horseman.
He's a rational man. He doesn't believe in ghosts, and he thinks he's going to discover who's been cutting people's heads off, and it has to be somebody, and there has to be a good reason for it.
The assassin is a man of flesh and blood, and I will discover him.
Ichabod has all these ideas about experimental crime solving. He knows how to find blood with these special powders.
This is most irregular, Constable.
And doing an autopsy, which at the time was not widely accepted.
You need to operate immediately.
Operate? She's dead.
When we say operate, we mean, of course, I will need the operating table.
Ichabod, he's a character that lives basically inside of his head versus a character with no head. And that's probably the strongest appeal to the story for me, is that you always want to have 2 good adversaries.
And cut.
For Burton, part of the appeal of the project was the opportunity to reunite with Depp, his leading man from Edward Scissorhands and Ed Wood.
Johnny, he's just great. This is the 3rd time I've worked with him, and each time it's different, and I just enjoy his wanting to always do something different.
And Johnny.
The attacker rode Nazareth down, turned his horse, came back to clean the head.
In playing Ichabod, Depp was inspired by films and actors of the past.
I used to watch all kinds of horror films when I was a little kid. I loved them. I was obsessed with them. And I wanted to recreate that classic style of horror film acting.
We must proceed by a process of elimination. I shall make a list of every man and woman in Sleepy Hollow.
As he begins his investigation, Ichabod is introduced to the townspeople, including Katrina Van Tassel.
Is it Theodore?
No, pardon, miss, I'm only a stranger.
Then have a kiss on account. I am the daughter of the wealthiest man in Sleepy Hollow. And from Van Brunt, he and I are supposed to be getting married at some point. Like, it's just understood that one day we will get married.
He's the main suitor for Katrina, and then Ichabod Crane comes in, and he steals her away from me.
This is a departure from the book because Ichabod originally is a very ugly man. And we all know that Johnny Depp is, you know, not too bad looking. Oh, I should love the opera. And theaters. To go dancing, is it wonderful? My character's very romantic, and I like to read romance novels, and I believe in witchcraft.
You two believe that the Van Garretts were murdered by a headless horseman?
Not everyone here believes it is the horseman.
Good.
Some say it is the witch of the Western Woods who has made a pact with Lucifer.
In creating an overall look for the film, Burton brought his distinctive style to every detail.
Can I have a paintbrush, too?
I think Tim, first and foremost, is an artist. He has an artist's approach to every facet of the film. Everything within the frame is of great importance to him. The composition of the shot, the colors, the movement.
Tim is so incredibly visual. His movies are just really beautiful, but strange. And for this kind of movie, that's exactly what it needs.
He has a gothic sensibility. I think anyone who's seen any of his films would say that that was the case.
Yeah, as I say.
I think with Tim, it's a lot about design and the art of it and creating a world. And with Sleepy Hollow, we wanted to make something that was very romantic, but it's also very stylized because there are supernatural elements and there are horror elements.
How often do I have to tell you there is no horseman? There never was a horseman. There never will be a horseman.
To create the film's gruesome beheadings, the filmmakers used the latest special effects and makeup techniques. The process began with making plaster casts of each victim.
They cover you up, and it feels like any minute they're going to stick 2 straws up your nose and suck your brains out.
Once the duplicate heads were cast, the details were added.
All the heads are silicone painted. The hairs have been punched in individually. Eyeballs are put in. And we'll take teeth casts of the actors and then make acrylic teeth and fit them in. And each head will have this kind of gross muscle treatment with a spine, a throat, you know, skin.
The guys came in from special effects and said, "Oh, have you seen your head yet? It's great, look." And we pulled it out of a box. Well, I talk about intimations of mortality, you know. I've seen my head in somebody's hand.
For the actual decapitations, Burton added a distinctive touch.
Tim wanted to see the head spin around. So we have a head and shoulders piece that we do the head mech spinning thing. And then we cut to a wide shot, and that's a full body that's all held together with electromagnets. And we basically flip a switch, and the knees will buckle first, then the ankles, and then the waist and the arms will fall down. So it'll have a very, very natural look.
It was a horseman, a dead one, headless.
Of course it was. That's why you were here.
It's all true.
This telling of the legend explores the horseman's origins as a Hessian mercenary.
Unlike his compatriots, who came for money, the horseman came for love of carnage. He was infamous for riding his horse hard into battle, chopping off heads at full gallop.
I figure he's a little like me. After a day of chopping heads, he just goes home and has a nice dinner. But my forte seems to be psychotic, twisted people, and he's very like that.
The Hessian's terrifying facial features included teeth filed into razor-sharp points and supernatural eyes.
Keep looking all the way down.
Actor Christopher Walken was fitted with special contact lenses to create the effect.
They look fantastic. Sort of like fall Newman.
The greatest challenge for Walken involved the scenes in which he was required to ride the Hessian's horse, Daredevil.
I come from New York City. I grew up right in Midtown. I don't know anything about horses. I've made some westerns, but my experience with horses has not been good. I'm afraid of them, and they don't like me much. And I said that to him right away. I said, a headless horseman, I can barely ride.
For some of Walken's more difficult riding shots, the filmmakers employed a device developed for a classic film from Hollywood's past.
Yeah, this was built for National Velvet for Elizabeth Taylor and some of the shots she had to do on that. And we've got hold of it, and we've just really brought it up to date, as it were. I mean, as it was mechanically 40 years ago, it was sound. There's nothing we could improve on it.
It'll be skinned and furred, and mechanically, it's going to be able to gallop, full gallop, or canter. It'll have a radio-controlled head, so you'll get the full motion of a horse movement, and you get radio-controlled ears, eye blinks, the lips will move, so you get kind of a sneering thing. There'll be steam that can come out the nostrils in those cold, Sleepy Hollow nights.
In the climax to a brutal battle scene, the story of how the Hessian originally lost his head is revealed.
This butcher didn't finally reach his end until the winter of '79. They chopped off his head with his own sword. Now the Hessian wakes. He's on the rampage, cutting off heads where he finds them.
To create the mysterious world of Sleepy Hollow, Burton and his crew traveled to England, where they found the perfect backdrop for the story. Over a 3-month period, the entire community was built from the ground up. The design included a covered bridge, a church, numerous period structures, and a massive windmill. The farmland surrounding the town was stocked with hundreds of sheep, cows, and ducks who would reside on the premises during filming.
We were really transforming this hollow into a living town. One of the things that we were trying to do was inspire a sense of apprehension in the architecture of the place, that there is something wrong here, that there's a sense of foreboding and fear.
It's very magical, and it's wonderful looking. Everything about it is just really, really medieval.
It was something that was very true to the period. At the same time, kind of fairy tale-like or made up. Exactly sort of what you would imagine a Tim Burton village would be. Beautiful. I wanted to live there.
The town is in ferment. Reverend Steinmetz called a meeting in the church tonight. He's going to speak out against you.
As the story unfolds, the distrust between Ichabod and the townspeople grows deeper.
Everybody in this small community has something to hide. You know how difficult it is to hide anything in a small community. Everybody knows everybody else's business, but you don't know all of it. So it's a very paranoid place.
There is a conspiracy here, and I will seek it out.
There's a certain sort of ambiguousness about the characters that's kind of great, and there's a lot about these people that you don't know, which is kind of interesting.
Ready, and action!
The supporting cast of townspeople features a number of acclaimed actors, including Miranda Richardson, Ian McDiarmid, Michael Gambon, Richard Griffiths, Jeffrey Jones, and Michael Goff.
I suppose we're all eccentric in our various ways. I'm the least eccentric of them all, really.
He's chosen us funny people to play the part. I look slightly mad, don't I?
If this person lays a hand on me, we'll get a bullet!
We all look strange, and I suppose that's why we've been cast.
Together, they just create an interesting combination.
Oh, God!
To convey suspense and a sense of impending doom, Burton created a series of subtle visual effect shots.
What Tim asked us to do was put some kind of demonic faces in the fire to show that evil is present. And he wanted the faces in the fire to kind of erupt out of the fire and then disappear quickly. So it's a very subtle effect where you're almost not sure if you saw those faces or not.
I took the skull, which you will see in the movie, which is the Headless Horseman's skull. And so I pulled up the eyebrows to give it this demonic look, giving it a strong forehead, bringing up the corners of the mouth, and then pull the jaw around to actually continue to sculpt what would be the fire. So I knew that when the fire would come off, it would have an irregular shape. And here we've got not just one face, but there's a total of 13 in here. So I took that hero that I had, shrunk him down, and started putting more of his little brothers and sisters around here so that you get like a whole family of demonic faces coming out of the fireplace.